Hello everyone, my name is Hanan Bashir. Today we are going to discuss lecture 3 of the course BB101 Biomedical Engineering. Today's topic will be the neuronal axons as electrical conductors. So this is the anatomy of a neuron where we can say this is the dendrites which is arising from the central body. This is the nucleus, cell body, axon, and this is the myelin sheath which covers the entire axon, and this is the direction of impulse. This is axonal terminal, and this is finally the synapse. So are neurons good conductors of electricity? So we know that neurons can conduct electricity pretty well, but the only issue is that the leaking of the charges. So because of that, we can't send messages over long distances because of this decay. So we need a booster system. So what should we do? So one will be that we will cover the entire neuron with some protective layer so that there is no leaking. Then electrical conduction occurs without attenuation of signal. Therefore, action potential form the basis of information transfer in the nervous system. So how do we stimulate this protocol for action potential? So the VM will equal to the V initial minus V output. Then hyperpolarizing stimulus is hyperpolarizations and depolarizing stimulus is depolarizations. So how we are going to create such signals where we get these peaks? So a strong depolarizing stimulus triggers an action potential. So this is depolarization. This is the upstroke just up from the threshold. This is the A peak. This is the repolarization where the peak is reduced back to the resting potential, and this is hyperpolarization where it just goes below the resting potential. This all happens in matters of milliseconds. So how does this all work? So when this gated channel, this activation gate, the Na plus and K plus channels are closed initially, and the membrane resting potential is maintained. So this is the resting potential now. So now the depolarization occurs. So a stimulus opens this gate and Na plus comes inside. So this is the second part. When more Na plus come and then finally the potential will reach a peak. So we'll get this action potential. Afterwards, we have to lower this peak. So this is done by opening the K plus gated channel. So this opens and K plus travels outside, hence lowering the potential, and finally the potential reduces just below the resting potential. And when this happens, the channel close and then it comes and back into the equilibrium and then it normalizes. So this is the undershoot and then it comes back to the resting potential. So this is how it all works. This is the Na plus conductance and this is K plus conductance. So we can see that K plus will have a high permittivity. This is a fast cycle which occurs in matters of very milliseconds. That first Na plus enters through the channel, then the increasing of Na plus creates this peak. Then to depolarize, the K plus channel is opened, K plus goes out, and then it comes back to the resting potential. So for this purpose, Na plus concentration is high outside and K plus is high inside. So this is maintained by the uh, active channels which keep this ion concentration high on one side. Then the properties of AP. So threshold for depolarization, that there is a threshold after which the depolarization will start occurring. Then there's all or none binary. So either the signal will come or it will won't. So it is just below threshold, it will not occur, and above it will it occur. And the diffractive period, that this is happening all in a short time, and non-attenuating propagation, that it happens in a quick spike motion. Constant conduction velocity, it travels in a constant velocity. So this has a immunity against random noise, because since we have defined this threshold, any uh, signal which has low voltage polarization won't be traveled as an action potential. Only the significant ones which can break through the threshold will be fired ahead. Then this is varying I by P is a system, and this system can be propagated in this following manner. So, properties of an AP: amplitude coding of input intensity not possible via AP. So, we cannot code the amplitude using an action potential. It is can be coded only through the frequency. So, as I said, intensity will be traveled using the frequency of the action potential, and necessity of frequency coding. So that is what I just said. The properties of an AP: the refractive period. So we can see that it the occurs after some delay. It does not occur in just short span of time. So this sets an upper limit for the AP frequency. So these are the properties of AP. Properties of an AP: that it's non-attenuating propagation and constant conduction velocity. An AP conduction needs both active and passive current flow. So it needs an active current flow because you see that this current is maintained by active Na plus entering into this part. Then later when it reaches ahead, then Na plus from these channels enter, and then so on. And meanwhile in the behind, K plus is re-entered for depolarizing the membrane again. And this is axon conduction velocities. It varies, so we have to keep in mind this, that cv, this conduction velocity, is the measurable rate of propagation, which is equal to root over d, and d is in micrometer. D is the diameter of the axon. So what will be a better strategy? So one strategy will be to insulate the axonal membrane to prevent leaking of current, thereby increasing distance of the axon. Then myelination of axon. This is the solution to this. So we know that there's a myelin sheath which exists around the axon naturally, and salutary conduction hopping of APs. So myelination of axon is the salutary conduction hopping of AP, and myelination increases the conduction speed of AP. So if it is not myelinated, it is root D. Otherwise, it is 6 times D. So you can see the change. And synaptic transmission. So at the synapse, there is transmission of some chemicals. So how does this travel? So there are two ways. One is the electrical synapse, where electricity directly passes from one synapse to other. Otherwise, there is chemical synapse, where chemicals are actually transported between these gaps between the synapses. So how does this occur? So we can see that this mechanism is followed for transporting the chemicals from one point of the synapse to another. So we have to keep this table in mind. Okay, so that was for lecture 3. Thanks for watching.